But three really amazing people here. We have Christy Patti. We have Gret Menzies Gonzalez and Conchettarella. Three extraordinary people who I have met through my work with Tony and Tina's wedding. Who did I meet first? Christy, did I meet you first?
It was early March 2004. So that's when I started. I came in as stage manager.
And Gret, you were next.
Yeah, I was in 2005.
2000, Las Vegas.
In lovely Las Vegas. And at the time, Tony and Tina's was at the Rio. I auditioned, I think it was 2 to 3 weeks after I had moved from New York. Yeah, I moved in April, so I'm thinking it was probably end of April, beginning of May in 2005.
Yeah, and Miss Conchetta.
I started in 2005, but I started in August, I think, of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And that day, no, what happened was I went for my birthday, and this is such a weird, only Tony and Tina's world story, but my cousin was best friends with Drew Seltzer, who was one of our on the street producers selling tickets.
Yep.
She said to me, you go to a wedding, they're all Italian. I was like, yeah, let's go. No, so I got there and I'm outside in the street and I hear Conchettarella and I turn around and it was Christy Benanti. Now, Christy and I went to college together. So I was like, what the hell? And then I hear, Rella. And it's Melissa Ford, who was the ASM at the time and who I also went to college with. And I was like, this is the weirdest day of my life. What is going on? And I went in and, like you do on your birthday, man, you just knock them back. And here are these actors who are maybe not knocking them back, but acting like they're knocking them back. So I'm just joining the party, and it was fantastic. And at one point, I think probably it must have been around the dinner break. Johnny Tamaro was playing Donnie Dolce and he's up on the stage and in the basement of the Edison Hotel. So you're like 5-10 feet from the stage. He comes off the stage and me and my two cousins were like, oh, so cute, like whatever, to ourselves. And he walks right up to my face and goes, you have your father's eyes. And now I do. So I got chills all over my whole body. People are saying, hey, it's good to see you, and acting like your family the whole night. But that was way too close to home. And I went, I walked right over to the booth and I went, Christy, who is that? And she was just like, oh, well, tell you after the wedding. And it turns out Johnny Tamaro was somebody who did community theater with my father 20 years prior to that moment. So I was like squealing. I was like, this is the crazy. I had 3 people there that I didn't know I knew in this world. And then Christy emailed me afterwards and was like, they're going to have auditions in the summertime. Why don't you come to callbacks? And I was like, sure. And that's when I met you, Larry.
I was a casting director in a past life, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
With this podcast that we are going to be doing here, the 4 of us, really is about the journeys of all of the different people that I have met through my 35 plus years of working on this show. And you can see the difference here of location, of instances when people met, and then, even how people were related to people in your past. I love that story. I didn't know that story about Johnny.
Johnny and I are also both from Brooklyn, and I'm pretty sure he was a magician at a birthday party that I was at when I was 6. So that's my Johnny Tamaro story.
Like day of audition or hiring, I know someone here's story is that I got hired first as a Donna. So I paired her up with someone who was a current Donna to give you some tips and whatever. So I had met with this person named Stephanie Calvert. And Stephanie Calvert is a fantastic singer and ridiculously, innately hilarious person. So I connected with her very quickly. And she looked at me and she goes, you seem so familiar to me. I said, I just moved here. There's no way. I don't know. And she said, well, where did you move from? And I said, New York. We started talking. Anyway, we figured out that we both were living in Connecticut when we were in 2nd grade. So she lived there for 1 year. And she said, I didn't speak really good English. And I was in 2nd grade. And I went to school in this town called Bethany, Connecticut. And I was like, what? She said, there was this girl there who was so nice to me because I didn't speak English. I only spoke Italian. And she goes, it was you. I know it was you. And she went back and she looked and we have a school picture and we were in second grade together.
Oh,
I love that.
insane.
So crazy.
Wow. Yeah. And Miss Conchetta, you also did the show in Chicago.
I did. I started in 2016. And then I left Chicago in 2019. And that was a blast too. It was great. When I was going in though, it was their like 25-year revival show or something like that. And so when I came in, Micah Spear was already out there, who I had met in New York, but he was already on his way there. And so he started as Donnie Dolce, but also as their musical director. So he was out there doing that. And then their Tina wanted to take a break / be done. And I just volunteered. You know, if we get personal about it, I was following Micah, you guys, who is madly in love, chasing him.
Following my-
But it was the best choice I could have made because I met just a same thing like the world. We just became instant family. But, you know, it's just a whole other Chicago family.
in terms of this show having an impact on your own lives, not just professionally, but the people that you met, are they still in your lives? Obviously, you guys are still in my life. I'm in your life. But how is that for all of you?
Well, I had a baby with one of them.
Right. You did.
I'd say that counts.
The same micro that I chased across the country, I had my daughter with. So yes. And for me, like dearest friends, I'm still friends with Christy. I'm still friends with Anthony, still friends with those people that I met in 2005. I still keep in touch. And every tour I've been on, we still keep in touch. You know, it's like, I know that person. I did a show with them. I had a whole experience with them. You survived something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same boat. You know, the people that I met in 2005 and then picked up along the way. I mean, this show ran for years and years and years here. So a lot of the same people come in and out. Some stay the whole time. Some come in for one cast and just make a huge impact on you for whatever reason. You experience something together, or they're just great at what they do. They make your job happier and easier. All of those people you take with you. And I think there's something with this show because you're not just creating a family like you would at like any other show. You're also supporting each other and protecting each other in all that way. But you're also physically supporting and protecting each other because of how immersive this piece is. So I think there's just something very binding about that.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. It's a good way to put it.
Yes,
too.
there is. And also, I think that because it's improvisation and because there is really not a script, except, of course, in the very basic scripted moments, you can have a total conversation with somebody as the character and intimate many, many things and talk about things that you might not talk about in real life to that person. I mean, I don't know because I've never performed in the show. So I don't really know what people say to one another except for what I overhear.
We cannot take any responsibility for what we say in character, okay?
Well, I mean, isn't that really where the jewels are?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I think in the same way that the show is a vehicle for people to meet and have friendships, it's a vehicle for improvisation that no audience ever has the same show because of that improvisation. And nobody shares that. It's not recorded. It's really, really personal. And I've always found that, you know, a fascinating part that I don't even want to know what people say. Yes. Just another question is in terms of your own lives and the families that you have now and those things, do you feel that the show made your relationship stronger?
I feel like when I started to do the show and started to really understand the concept of yes and has taken me through so many situations that I did not want to go
Right.
in my personal life, you know, and even when I've been like way down, it's silly, but it has crossed my mind to say yes and anyway, mostly things out of my own, somebody else is doing something that I can't prevent in any way or avoid, you know, okay. Yes. And what's my input? And it has helped me shift to positivity more than I can count, more times than I can count for sure. So in that way, yeah, I think it has. And I think the people in life, and these are the closest people to me, the people in life that can improv or can pivot with what life tosses at them, they are the strongest people I know. That flexibility like that, and kind of take the hit, but keep on trucking and keep being you and, come out smiling somehow. I think that's incredible. And I do think some portion of that is stemmed from Yes End.
Yeah, I think it does. I think that the improvisational aspect of this piece is part of the reason why it creates such strong families.
Mhm.
I don't know, also just because you are a family in the play also. I think that makes a very big difference. But that improvisational aspect of creating one-on-one with people, I think very different than memorizing something and going on night after night and saying the same thing. I think that there is an emotional investment because you have to lay yourself out differently every night and bump up against cast members and audience who are feeling different ways.
Yeah. And I'll tack onto that too to say, you don't even play the same character all the time. So you're not even coming at the story or at your cast members or at the situation from the same direction ever. And so you get this different dynamic every single time that you sort of have to live in and make work. So, talk about learning empathy on your feet or learning to see somebody else's perspective on your feet. My goodness.
Yeah.
I was going to say, from a different perspective, as a stage manager, I feel like it maybe pre-honed some of my maternal instincts. There's a part of me that's like mama bear, and I was so protective of the cast in so many ways that, now that I do have children, I think it really was the beginning of learning those skills in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had to protect the cast. It's stage managers typically don't have to protect the cast from other audience members.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that whenever I was talking to you ever during the play, you were listening to me, but you also were always looking to see what the hell was happening out there on that floor.
Yeah. And that's like motherhood too. You've got an ear here, but you've also got an ear out that way and everywhere else,
Right. Yeah. I think as the stage manager, of course, very unique in that way.
For sure.
I'd often have people when I would do shows out of town and do different productions, people would say, is it a difficult show to call? And I said, no, you just say, let's go. And then you say goodbye.
There's not really any calling. It's more like, let's make sure these people survive.
Yeah.
It's like if we're all alive at the end, I think we had a successful show.
Thank you all very much. This podcast really is going to be about the people that we have met along the way and how those relationships grew and the family that we created. That's a theater tribe.
Sounds good.
I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely.
I can't wait.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, La Familia.
La Familia. You're not supposed to say it. You're not supposed to say it.
I know.